Later in this broadcast, we're going to continue our 5-year celebration, like I promised you. I said it was going to be a 3-parter, now it's going to be a 4-parter. Why? I'll explain at the end of the broadcast. But we had some very serious stuff to get to, like over 2,600 new cases of COVID in the state of Texas, with 6 new deaths, 25 new in Nueces County. As for 26, well, 6.7% positive. And positive tests have been almost at 37,000. And over 550,000 tests have been taken. Over almost 1,500 people in ICU. Almost 1,500. From 2 days ago. And over 12,000 people have been hospitalized. Vaccinations, well, 73.1% have had at least one dose, 21.2 million. And fully vaccinated people, 61.4. Fully vaccinated, 17.8 million. As for the U.S., 576 million doses given, 220 million fully vaccinated, and 66.7% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Total cases, doses given, new doses 14,000, 46.7 million doses total. People fully vaccinated 17.8 in the state. That's 61.4%. As for cases, we own in the U.S. 81.4 million total cases, 95,844 cases, and almost 1 million deaths. We have to take this very seriously. Very seriously. And what about our schools? Let's find out. Zero. Yesterday it was 1. Now rest are 0. Beautiful. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. But has there been any more COVID in the news? Well, let's find out. There's no new news about this. But I want to stress the fact and point out that everyone is eligible. Kids and children can get the vaccine. But the people but you guys have to understand, if you guys have questions, if your child has questions, then you can answer them. If you have questions or concerns, they can ask their doctor and they'll take care of it. But it's not going to help whether it bothers you. So if you have concerns or questions, you need to, and your child has to, then you as a parent have to make sure to answer the right questions and to get the right answers. And when traveling, if you already traveled, here's what you should have done. Study the cases. Study every single case. Look at the numbers. I was going to tell my mom before she left for Kansas to make sure to look at every case. That's the one tip I have. So if you're going somewhere, like if you're going to Kansas or whatever, you need to go to Google, look up COVID cases, COVID-19 numbers in Kansas, and it'll pop up. Like 777K and number of deaths. There's over 95,000 new cases and 391. We're like almost at 1 million new cases here. So we have to make sure this doesn't happen again. This doesn't happen, and everyone gets that vaccine. So in the meantime, until everyone gets that vaccine, here's what you need to do. You need to make sure you mask up. And the mask should be at the nose, not over here, not down here, meaning below the nose or below the chin. And like I said when I did outdoor shows, if you're in a mandatory zone, That means you're required to wear the mask. And social distance. It's the big issue here with 6 feet. The definition of social distance is 6 feet. At 6 feet or above 6 feet. So from me to the table is like 6 feet. Wash your hands. The biggest problem here is wash your hands. 20 seconds of hot water, 110 degrees, soap. After that, sanitize your hands. You also need to make sure that if you have COVID, you need to stay home for 5 days. And the only time you leave the house is to make sure. Is to take out the trash or get the mail. That's it. At the 5th day, get tested again. If you have COVID, get the vaccine. I recommend you get the Pfizer vaccine. It worked best. If you experience any side effects, take a Tylenol. If you have a medical condition or you're claustrophobic, you're exempt. If you're riding transportation, you're now in the option zone. If you're not, wear the mask and practice social distance. That's the big issue here. All right, later in this broadcast, we are continuing our 5-year celebration. And when we come back, a school board president who was now being investigated for having a fake Facebook page. We're also going to look at a teacher from 7 years ago who was fired for breaking up a school fight with a broom. I remember talking about this, but I haven't showed you that news clip. We'll be right back. Up front tonight, the Holmen School Board president is under fire for using a fake Facebook page. Now, this is an outrageous one. For 5 years on the show, I never covered school boards, but this takes the cake. This one probably takes the cake. So let's give you a rundown of the story.
President of the Holmen School Board admits she created a The president of the Holmen School Board admits she created a fake Facebook profile, and tonight Cheryl Hancock is apologizing. But as News 8 Now's Jordan Fremstad found out, some members of the Holmen community say an apology is not enough. Jordan?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. On Facebook, Hancock went by the name Annie Almaris. She called the Facebook profile her alter ego. Now, Hancock apologized seconds before last night's school board meeting started and before it was broadcast online. Hancock deleted that profile. These are screenshots saved by a group of people who connected the profile back to Hancock. Now, Hancock used the page to respond to critical posts about the school board and to challenge conservative school board candidates. Jennifer Wesley says the fake profile is more than 10 years old. Wesley says she believes Hancock's use of a fake page violates the school board ethics policy. Wesley wants Hancock to step down as board president and resign. Hancock says using the page was a lapse in judgment, and she's committed to being a better person. Wesley says it's too late.
She's been on that board for 26 years. She's had 26 years to be doing better. And this lapse of judgment, she's had this profile for 11 years. How do you have a lapse of judgment for that long?
Holmen Superintendent Kristen Mueller would not comment tonight. Her office referred News 8 Now to Hancock's statement. Other school board members weighed in at last night's meeting. After Hancock's apology, the board voted to re-elect her school board president. Mike?
All right, thanks a lot, Jordan. And you can read Cheryl Hancock's full statement at news8000.com.
Which we will do later. And there's also another one.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Dustin Lukey. Before Monday night's Holmen School Board meeting, Board President Cheryl Hancock admitted to members she created and used a phantom Facebook account. Now, in that account, Hancock posed as the mother of a Holmen Middle School student, using it to interact with other Facebook users and commenting on the divisive tone of the Holmen School Board election. Hancock issued a statement saying in part, quote, "I recognize it was a lapse in judgment, which I regret and apologize for. Please know that the opinions I shared were entirely my own and do not reflect the opinion of the school district of Holmen, the board, our staff, or our students." Now, News 19 reached out to La Crosse County District Attorney Tim Grinke about the possible legal issues here. Grinke says there's nothing illegal in this behavior. We did also contact the Holmen Police Department, which says they are looking into the matter. Additionally, we spoke with Holmen parent Jennifer Wesley, who says she and a small group of people traced that profile back to Hancock on the suspicion that they never met the person behind the fake profile, and comments made showed an intimate knowledge with how the school board operates. Wesley says she was disheartened to learn it was Hancock posting under the pseudonym and hopes now for a change of direction.
I think a great number of community members would like her to just resign, let somebody else fill in on the board and bring a perspective that one can trust.
Again, La Crosse County's district attorney says Hancock's action is not illegal, but does raise questions about ethics.
Now, just several days, days after this, the board president resigns. Now, remember what they said earlier in that last video. They said she was reelected. I find that probably appalling, to where 10 years you would have you would have an alter ego, but then you would never tell anyone about it. You delete it, but the community says it's not enough. I'm glad for the community to step up. I'm glad for that the community in Holmen stepped up to the plate. But what I don't get, why didn't she tell the board members? I mean, that would violate their school's policy. So I'm glad that they resigned. Let's take a look.
Everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Mike Thompson.
And I'm Amy DuPont. Cheryl Hancock, the Holmen School Board's president, has resigned.
The move comes after Hancock came under fire for using a fake Facebook profile for 11 years, using it to respond to critical posts about the board. Just last week, the board voted to make her the president of the Holmen School Board again.
After tonight's closed session, Hancock came out to give a statement saying she decided last week that the situation was becoming unmanageable for herself, her family, and the school district.
The school district has much work to do, and I am stepping aside so that they can get on with it. I'm proud of what we have accomplished over the past 2 decades, and I'm hoping that my overall record of accomplishments will someday be the legacy I leave and not this misstep.
You can read Hancock's full statement and a statement from the board on our website, news8000.com. The Holmen School Board did not vote another president into place at tonight's meeting. The board's next meeting is set for 1 week from today.
That's next week, and we'll give you some updates as they go along. But what about that statement? Hancock, she also announced her retirement as executive director of the Recovery Center on Monday. And it says in part, we would like to be clear, this type of behavior has no place in our school board or our community. When board members are elected, they're required to adhere to a board policy on board ethics. Within that policy, it states that the board and its members will conduct themselves with integrity and high ethical principles in order to model the behavior of respected staff and students and retain a public confidence and credibility. We feel the intent of this policy has been violated. Therefore, I'm officially notifying the Holmen School District community as of this evening, Ms. Hancock has resigned from her position as board president and as a member of the Holmen School Board. And I'm glad this happened. And I'm glad that the community stepped up to the plate and said, an apology's not enough, we need more. And I'm glad they got what they wished for. So, I want to thank Holmen County. For me, I was not a board member, but if I was, I would walk over there and shake your hand and say, "Great job. I'm proud of you guys for stepping up to the plate and saying this person needs to be resigned." And statements like that were. When you do something you're not supposed to do, then you have an obligation to decide whether or not you want to, say, oh, should I keep this secret to myself, or do I want to talk about it, tell them the truth? I mean, she did apologize, but the resignation, I'm glad she resigned, but the board has not voted another president. We'll give you updates as they go along. Coming up next, U-Haul trucks, are they a target for thieves or police? An Inside Edition investigation will answer that question for you when we come back. We want to bring up today on the story we first brought you weeks ago. Remember weeks ago we brought you the story of an El Dorado High School student named Jonathan Martinez Garcia who assaulted a teacher. He's still being charged with sexual assault, battery, burglary, and robbery. Well, just 2 days ago, the Nevada Independent.com did an article about finger pointing over school violence and restorative justice law, which that says the substitute teacher struggled while getting up for the work on the first day back from spring break. That's because the days before it started. This was April 7th. This was almost about a month ago. Martinez said he had many plans for the week off, but ended up not doing nothing because she kept drawing the incident and worrying about her coworker. She was one of about 36 staff members and students who had a protest outside the school the first day after spring break, gathered to express their outrage over the incident and demanded better safety measures. And this was since Governor Brian Sandoval, who stood up to the statewide City Task Force 2018. It was 4 months after a mass shooting at Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland, Florida, that left 70 people dead and 17 others injured, and sparked a student-led movement calling for stricter gun control. Martinez had moments to where she asked herself why she keeps coming back, and she said it's all the other kids who continue to drive her. So ever since then, this person went to the print media and spoke out. We don't know if she spoke to the public media, the media, but we'll give you some more updates. We'll update you as it progresses, because I take school safety very seriously. Also, we brought you more on the Oxford school shooting. Last week we told you about a Law and Order episode that's talking about what happened during the Oxford shooting. Now, Hannah St. Juliana wants a permanent memorial for 4 of the victims. Part of the mourning process of St. Juliana's family is making sure their 4 faces are not forgotten. They're now pleading with the school district and the board for a memorial at the high school. School officials told the family they settled on a memorial, at least for at the time around, but an email to us from Oxford School said it reached out to other schools who endured something like this. Now, this is from Fox 2, but we don't know what else going to happen. We'll bring it up today as it goes along. Give me Rick continues in just a moment. Our next story is about those moving U-Haul trucks. They become hot. It's the place where if you wanna like move through a new house, you call U-Haul for a truck. But did you know it became a hot target for thieves? Here's Inside Edition's Lisa Guerrero.
It is chaos. Police are in hot pursuit, not after car thieves.
Shots fired.
They're chasing stolen moving trucks. With so many people having moved during the pandemic, it's become a disturbing trend. Brazen crooks stealing rental vans and trucks.
Passenger, let me see your hands. Put them out the window.
Cops say the cold-hearted thieves aren't just after the trucks. What they really want is the treasure trove of valuables that families have boxed up inside.
How can people be so awful?
Don Reed and his wife Miranda were moving from Alaska to Florida when they parked their truck during a stopover at a hotel in Washington state. Parking lot surveillance shows the moment the thief starts pulling away. Inside the lobby, the manager notices something's wrong. A hotel worker even tries chasing down the truck in his own van, but the thieves get away. Body cam shows police later finding the truck abandoned, but all the contents inside have been rummaged through.
We had boxes packed to the roof all the way to the back of the truck, and they went through every single box, opened it up, anything that was worth of value they took out, the rest of it they dumped on the floor.
Georgia police investigator Stephen Fields says most of these heists happen at hotels, when families stop overnight while moving across the country.
The U-Hauls are able to be manipulated to where they can get hot-wired very easily, and they're gone within a matter of minutes.
Once the bad guys spot a moving van like this one in Atlanta, they wait until dark to strike. That's what this family says happened to them at a hotel.
Everything that we had worked hard for was just gone in a matter of moments.
Ben and Cassandra Benton said they woke up to find the truck they'd packed with just about all their possessions had been stolen. Worst of all, inside was an urn containing their son's ashes.
Were his ashes ever found?
No.
You don't wish it on anybody. Losing the ashes, going through all that all over again it's horrible.
But what would you like to see happen?
I want to see it stop. People shouldn't have to be going through this.
So what can you do to try and protect all your belongings?
Police recommend a steering wheel lock. You can also invest in a small GPS device to assist in tracking down your truck.
U-Haul says it sympathizes with victims of theft, adding they have helped numerous customers over the years recover their stolen belongings. They also say they work closely with law enforcement to track down criminals.
Which is good. Next time you drive a U-Haul truck, remember Lisa told you, you need to make sure you put a steering wheel in your lock. You also need to make sure you put a small tracking device. I recommend you put tracking devices on your package. That way you know where your stuff is. As you know, throughout the 5 years, we've dealt with a lot of bullying in the schools. Has there been more bullying? Well, in Illinois, a strong bullying law was ignored at a Latin school. This was from WD. This is from WBEZ.org. Nate Boston's parents constantly replayed the weeks leading up to their son's suicide and how things could have been gone differently. Nate was funny and easygoing, someone who can make friends everywhere, they said. He became withdrawn and angry when he transferred to the Latin school in Chicago as a sophomore last fall. His parents said the students bullied him nonstop, with one time to kill himself was picked on by a teacher. He reached out to the school for help and said he himself met with the dean on December 13th to share details of the cyberbullying incident. The school didn't investigate the allegations or inform Nate's parents, despite being required by law and school policy to do so. In January, Nate took his own life when he was 15 years old. That's sad. But now they're suing for $100 million. The Bronze team expect a lengthy and painful legal process ahead. They said any damages rewarded will go to anti-bullying organizations, which is good. After Nate died, they said school officials shared why they hadn't informed parents about Nate's December 13th cyberbullying allegations. They said Nate had said at the time he wanted to be able to advocate for himself because Nate was soon leaving the school, according to the lawsuit. After the meeting over winter break, the cyberbullying continued. Unnoticed to Nate's parents, Nate was scheduled to transfer back to Parker on January 14th, but he took his own life. They think they have known about Nate's December 13th meeting with the dean. Their son would still be alive today. This is what's strong about this case. The school ignored a bullying law. If the law says you're required to investigate something like this, you're required to investigate this. You don't sweep it under the carpet. You deal with it as such. In the instance I'm not talking about, what happened here, someone crawled under the bathroom, and then someone put a camera in the bathroom, crawled under the bathroom, and then saw someone vaping. I don't want to say that because I'm not going to say which school it is. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. Like I said before, I have the post right here. I'm not going to talk about this. If I do, then I'm putting bad press on them, which I don't. I don't put bad press on people. I don't tolerate that crap. But I take bullying very seriously. Very seriously. And if you don't take it seriously, that's fine. I take everything seriously. I take bullying. I take truancy. I take every school issue. I take every situation and issue that I talk about in the show very, very seriously, and I've been doing so for 5 years. So don't stand up to me, don't walk up to me and say, at school, like, talk to me like you're schooling me. I'm schooling you. If you don't like the show, find another video. Don't come up to me and saying, this, that, you should blank. It's not your place to do this. It's not your place to do that. I mean, the advice would unplug. That's the only advice I can give. It's a virtual world. You're going on chat rooms, you're answering the phone saying, I want you to... There. You hang up. That's the issue. And I'm going to keep on working on bullying, and I take this crap very seriously. I don't play theatrics. I take to what was done years ago, or to even days. I take stuff like this very seriously. When we come back, a video that we'll never forget. Don't go away. You know, over 5 years, I've dealt with a lot of, like I said before, 5 years ago, I've dealt with issues, but I've never shown you some clips because I did it from the living room. Well, I'm doing it here because of remodeling. I'll never forget. I never showed you this years ago. I'll never forget when I first saw this video before I started the show. This was from on a school with a speech. Principal L did a motivation speech about people being picked on. So let's take a look at this. It really got to me.
I don't comb my hair in the morning, and it really doesn't matter what anybody thinks of my hair. But if somebody came up and said, Dr. Lousberger, your hair's ugly, it'd be like, what's the purpose of that? Thank you. But do you understand what I'm saying? What you trying to figure out why somebody would say that? But you guys, not you guys personally, but you kids your age do that all the time. Oh, you stink. Oh, you this. Oh, you that. But it's like, what's it matter? Because guess what? Over the course of every day you're in school, when you walk in, it smells like breakfast. But at a job, at home, as the day goes on, things start to smell different. It may be a smell you're not used to. That doesn't mean the guy sitting next to you or the girl sitting next to you stinks. That just means the smell's changed in the room and you got to get used to what it is. We don't need to start making fun of people. And here's the big thing. I'll take your question in a minute. Here's the big thing. This young man and I are outside. And I think I'm a funny guy. And I start making fun of him because he's shorter than I am. Hey, Shorty, what's up, Shorty? What are you going to do, Shorty? Do. Now, that may be funny, and if he's laughing with me, then that may be okay. But if he says, wow, that ain't funny, you need to stop, and I keep going, hey, Shorty, hey, Shorty, hey, Shorty, and by the fact that he's in 3rd grade and I'm a grown man, of course he's going to be shorter than me. And I'll be like, what do you mean I'm picking on him? What do you mean I'm bullying him? I was just making, we were buds. He was okay with it. Well, of course he's okay with it at that moment in time because I'm standing 2 inches away from him. And he's already told me he ain't into it. He's already told me to stop. So it doesn't matter what I think. It does not matter what you think. It's what this individual right here would think. So if this young man, and let's say that scenario was true, which it's not, but let's say that scenario was true, and he went to the principal, or he went to his mom, or he went to a friend and said, hey, that big guy over there with the necktie on keeps calling me Shorty and I don't like that, and he's bullying me, he would be absolutely correct.
And I agree. And there's one more video there's one more video that I remember before I started this. Principal bragging about crap in the sink. We're gonna say that for tomorrow, along with another one. So tomorrow our anniversary celebration continues. This is anniversary week. I was gonna mention this before. This is anniversary week. We started this May 2nd, and it's gonna continue throughout this week. So look for this. Look for all memories this week as we continue to celebrate the 5 years of this show. And you guys make me happy. You guys make me sad. You guys are right. You guys in Flower Bluff, you guys are right there helping me out and showing me support. And I want to thank you out there in Flower Bluff for inviting me into your homes via YouTube. I want to, for 5 years, I've been using YouTube as a platform. I may use Vimeo or Archive or Dailymotion for the show. It could happen, but I'm not sure. But if it happens, I'll let you know in future episodes when it happens. Because what I plan on doing is I'm continue taking the show on the road. So maybe one day we do it at Buck Days. It could happen. I could do it from Buck Days. I mean, transportation, I'd hire a camera guy, get a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you, I'm a one-man operation. For 5 years in this show, I've never done it for the Buck Days. But it could happen. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Wednesday. For all of us here at YouTube and Give Me a Break, good night, everyone.